Friends, do you remember the last time you walked into a corner record store, browsing those exquisite CD covers, feeling the touch of plastic film against your fingertips? You might not remember, or perhaps you've never even had such a memory. Because in today's world, whatever song we want to hear, we just tap an app on our phone and it instantly appears. Millions of songs are at our fingertips, many even for free. But have you ever considered that all this taken for granted was absolutely unimaginable just 20 years ago? Back then, record labels and physical record stores were the absolute kings of the music industry. A CD would easily cost $15 or $20, and people eagerly lined up to buy them. Who would have thought that this seemingly unbreakable business model would crumble in just a few years? And those corner record stores that held our youth memories would quietly disappear one by one. Yes, I'm talking about the demise of the physical record store. It was once our only way to access music, a place full of ritual and discovery. So, who really killed the corner record store? What hidden business wisdom and life lessons can we, ordinary people, learn from this massive retail upheaval, from physical CDs to 99-cent digital music pricing? Today, join me as we take a deep dive into this world-shaking transformation of the music retail industry. This isn't just a nostalgic story. It's a brand legend of technology, greed, and a series of strategic missteps. More importantly, it's a set of underlying logics about innovation and disruption that are among the most valuable you can learn in your life. Our story begins in the late 1980s and early 1990s. At that time, the CD compact disc burst onto the scene. With its superior sound quality and portability, it quickly replaced vinyl records and cassette tapes, becoming the dominant music medium. In that era, what core advantages allowed record stores to achieve their breakthrough? Exclusive content and the in-store experience. You might think, it's just buying a CD, what's so special? But what you might not know is that back then, a record store wasn't just a place to sell discs. It was a cultural landmark, a social gathering spot for young people. Whenever a new album was released, there were always long queues outside record stores. You'd walk in, look at the wall-to-wall album covers with the latest popular songs playing in the background. That atmosphere is something today's digital music apps simply cannot replicate. More importantly, record labels held absolute content hegemony. If you wanted to hear a new song from a particular artist, the only way was to buy a genuine CD from a record store. There was no internet download, no streaming. Buying a CD was the only way to own music. In that era, what illusion did physical record stores give users? It was a sense of ownership. It was a sense of ritual. You'd spend money on a CD, open the package, take out the lyric booklet, read it carefully, and then put the disc into your CD player, enjoying the feeling of music flowing from a physical medium. This experience is unimaginable for today's digital native generation. A CD wasn't just music. It was a collector's item, a way to support an idol, a longing for a beautiful life. From the 1990s to the early 2000s, the recording industry experienced its golden age. Sales soared. Record stores dotted every street corner, becoming an indispensable part of urban life. Back then, record labels were wealthy and dismissive of emerging internet technology, because in their view, the physical record model was indestructible. But good times don't last, and circumstances change dramatically. When the invisible hand of the internet began to quietly exert its influence, the giants who were dreaming in their golden age quickly felt a chill. Entering the 21st century, the rapid development of internet bandwidth brought the concept of digital music to the forefront. And what truly panicked the record industry was a name you might have heard of, Napster. What was Napster? Simply put, it was a peer-to-peer P2P file-sharing software that allowed users to share music files for free. This was like suddenly discovering that delicious food you usually had to pay for could now be freely shared by your neighbors, and in infinite quantities. Here, we will begin to dissect who exactly killed the corner record store, and how record labels and retailers, due to their arrogance and misjudgments, embarked on a path of decline. The first problem, record labels' strategic missteps, complacency, resisting change. You might not know that when Napster emerged, record labels didn't focus on embracing the digital age or innovating business models. What they did was sue Napster, attempting to stifle this emerging piracy model through legal means. They stubbornly believed that music should be sold in the form of physical CDs and prices should not be easily lowered. They feared that digital music would hurt their profits and that free sharing would destroy the entire industry. They didn't realize that what users truly needed was convenient and quick access to music, not necessarily buying a physical CD. This strategic short-sightedness and rejection of new technology caused them to miss the best time for proactive transformation. Even more fatally, technological ecosystem lag, lacking their own digital distribution platform. When internet downloads became prevalent, record labels held massive music copyrights but lacked any mature digital distribution channels. This was like having countless goods at home, but no e-commerce website to sell them. Consumers found that downloading music for free online was far more convenient than buying CDs from a record store, and it cost nothing. Record labels, aside from suing pirates, were almost helpless. They failed to establish a legal, convenient, and reasonably priced digital music platform to meet the growing demands of users. This left enormous room for those pirated websites to thrive. The most critical factor was internal management, cultural conflict, arrogance, and misunderstanding of consumer needs. Record labels' internal culture was hierarchical, conservative, and arrogant. They were accustomed to being superior, seeing themselves as the producers and gatekeepers of music, with consumers merely passive recipients. They turned a deaf ear to changes in consumer demand, and were ignorant of how young people in the digital age accessed music. When consumers wanted single-song downloads, record labels insisted on selling entire albums. When piracy was rampant, they preferred to spend huge sums on lawsuits rather than trying to offer legal digital music services at lower prices. This arrogance and blindness to market changes caused them to gradually lose public favor. In contrast to their competitors, while record labels were still fighting the digital wave with legal weapons, a revolutionary figure emerged: Steve Jobs and his iTunes. Apple used new rules to launch a dimension reduction attack. Jobs saw the future of digital music. He solved the portability problem with the iPod and the content distribution problem with iTunes. The key was that the iTunes Store introduced the $0.99 per song pricing model for the first time. Can you believe it? This was utterly revolutionary at the time. Users could finally legally and cheaply download single tracks without having to spend $15 or $20 on an album where they might only like one or two songs. This was like being forced to buy an entire box of fruit. But now you could just buy the one apple you liked, greatly enhancing the user experience. What was the fatal blow? As the iPod and iTunes gained widespread adoption globally, digital music became mainstream, while record labels were still grappling with physical sales and piracy issues. The corner record stores, one by one, couldn't sustain themselves and quietly exited the stage. Consumers no longer needed physical discs. They only needed the music itself. Today, physical record stores have become a rare sight, existing more as a nostalgic sentiment or niche culture. The music industry's focus has completely shifted to streaming services like Spotify, Apple Music, and others. The era of selling CDs for $15 or $20 is long gone. This story teaches us a profound business lesson. No matter how strong the technology, if the direction is wrong, it won't save you. No matter how grand an empire, if it remains complacent and fails to keep pace with the times, it will ultimately be defeated by itself. Its rise and fall were not because music itself lost value, but because the medium and distribution model of music underwent fundamental changes. We might feel nostalgic for the days of walking into a record store, carefully selecting albums, and chatting about music with the staff. That sense of ritual and human connection is something today's digital music apps cannot replace. But we are also grateful for digital music, as it has made accessing music incredibly convenient and made global music accessible at our fingertips. So, have you ever visited a corner record store? What's the most memorable CD from your past? Tell me your answers in the comments section and share your stories with physical music. If you found today's video inspiring, please like and subscribe to my channel. This is what motivates me to keep creating more great content. See you in the next video.